On this week's episode of Whether or Not, we have a guest host filling in because the rest of the crew is out at National Weather Association in California. We have a nice forecast looking at a warm weekend ahead, and Jake has a feature on the Penn State Stormchase team. All that and more coming right up. Whether or Not starts right now. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your co-host and forecaster, Colby McCabe.
And I'm guest co-host Robert Johnson. So good to be joining you this week, Colby.
Well, thank you, Robert, for taking the time out of your busy schedule with the rest of the crew out at the National Weather Association Conference out in California.
Yes, I'm sure they're loving it out there, having some great weather. How do you think that will actually fare for this weekend back home?
Well, this weekend in State College will actually feel a lot like California.
Okay.
Low 80s, a lot of sun, but I'll have more details with that in my forecast coming up. But it will not disappoint for those here in State College.
All right, I'd like to hear that.
Thank you. And let's throw it now to Nature in the News. Scientists have discovered that swapping coal energy for solar energy can do much more than reduce CO2 emissions. According to a study by the Michigan Technological University, phasing out coal can prevent 52,000 deaths each year in the United States. The researchers analyzed various health studies and calculated lives lost per kilowatt hour to coal each year, determining that about 52,000 people die each year due to coal pollutants that can help cause respiratory, heart, and brain problems. It is their hope that the U.S. reduces the local regulations on how much solar power can be put into power grids so that more people transition to solar power on an individual basis, as solar energy only consists of about 1.5% of the U.S.'s current electricity.
It turns out that one man's trash may be another man's power source. Following the devastating impacts of Hurricane Irma, Florida residents are burning the trash that was left behind on their front yards from using the storm using waste incinerators, which reduces the solid waste to ash as well as produces heat that can power steam generators. The state of Florida overall burns more trash than most states in the U.S. due to limited space for landfills. In fact, in 2016, 10 waste-to-energy plants turned 4.5 million tons of trash into 3.5 million megawatt hours statewide, providing 2% of the state's overall power. In addition to providing power for the state, burning this trash also has an environmental benefit compared to just dumping it into a landfill. This is because the CO2 emitted during combustion beats the alternative of having methane, a much more powerful greenhouse gas, released from the trash in landfills. Waste directors in Florida have noticed a 20% spike in solid waste since Irma hit and is only expected to rise as cleanup efforts continue.
The Clearwater Conservancy has reached its goal of raising $2.75 million for its Slab Cab Run initiative, which is the largest project in the history of the organization. According to the Center Daily Times, the initiative is a proactive source water protection strategy. With this financial goal achieved, 300 acres of agricultural land will be conserved forever. These protected lands are located at the Meyer Dairy property and the Everhart Farm near the State College area. They are also very close to the Harder Thomas well fields, which supply a large amount of drinking water to the State College area. With this plan soon to be initialized, the Clearwater Conservancy will work with the Meyer family to permanently conserve and restore the sections of the stream that runs through the property, with plans to improve the overall water quality as well. Should you be interested in celebrating this achievement with the Conservancy, the public is invited to the Slab Cabin Celebration and Annual Meeting at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Center County on October 7th from 5:30 to 9 p.m.
A new startup company hopes to eliminate the need for fertilizers in crops. The yet-to-be-named company has joined forces with Ginkgo Bioworks, a Boston-based synthetic biology shop, and the German biochem company Bayer to attempt to engineer a special class of bacteria or microbes that can colonize the root of any crop. These microbes, known as nitrogen fixers, typically invade the roots of legumes such as peanuts, peas, and lima beans and convert nitrogen from the soil into ammonia, which plants can then use to make food via photosynthesis. The main issue, however, is that these microbes cannot survive in the roots of our largest crops, such as corn and wheat. This is what the new startup company aims to remedy. This plan has already had $100 million for initial funds, which is the largest seed investment of any agricultural tech company has made so far this year. Though many obstacles stand in their way, it is amazing to get a glimpse of the potentially bright future we may see soon enough in this constant battle of needing to feed a growing world while limiting the effects of climate change.
A beautiful summer-like weekend is in store for the State College area. Hi, I'm Colby McCabe here to give you your Central Pennsylvania forecast. Going into the maps, we'll look at the upper level pattern. We can see throughout the weekend that we have a ridge of high pressure that will just be dominating our weather as it will start to feel more like summer and not the end of September here in State College. Specifically looking into the Friday map, we can see that we have the remnants of Jose out here, not affecting our area, but a high pressure right here is dominating the region. And then Saturday, as it goes along, we have pretty much of the same warm, sunny skies with the high pressure right located in the northwestern part of the state, giving us this warm feel, and once again, feeling like summer. Can't emphasize that enough. And Sunday, much of the same, warm, beautiful, sunny, with Jose dissipating out on the eastern coast. And going into the specifics, we have this weekend, Friday 82 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Friday night looking like a beautiful one, 57 degrees, mostly clear and certainly mild for this time of year. Saturday, we have 83 degrees, another good one, very good one to watch the Penn State game. Although it will be away, but you'll be able to good one to watch it on TV. And then Sunday, for the NFL games, if you're interested, it'll be a beautiful day, so you may not want to stay inside and watch TV, maybe stream it off your phones while you enjoy a nice picnic outside, because it certainly will feel like summer. And now let's go over to Jake, who has a feature on the Penn State storm chasing team.
When you think about the early part of May, what do you think about the most? Do you think about preparing for Memorial Day weekend? Or how about buckling down for finals week? Well, for some Penn State meteorology students, the early part of May means only one thing: storm chasing. Each year, the Penn State Storm Chase team takes out a group of students out to the Midwestern U.S. in hopes of seeking tornadoes and severe weather and get up close and personal with Mother Nature's worst. Some critics may dismiss storm chasing as an excuse for seeking an adrenaline rush, or maybe perhaps 50 minutes of fame. Those in the Penn State Storm Chase Club, or Stormchase for short, say they're only in it to learn more about Mother Nature.
There's only so much you can learn in the classroom. There's the aspect of learning what you're doing in school and on a whiteboard and in homework, but there's so much more to it in experiencing what you're learning, and Stormchase does just that.
Since 2012, the club has given nearly 50 students a chance to experience severe weather up close and personal, all thanks to a 7 to 10 day excursion out across more than a dozen states in the Midwest, going as far north as South Dakota, as far south as Texas, and as far west as Colorado.
Stormchase, the club as it's known today, was born out of just a random moderate risk for a squall line chase of 9 students 5 Septembers ago.
Several students approached me having an interest in establishing a storm chase club, and I thought that it would be really cool, but I also thought there probably wasn't much chance of success.
We're sitting in class, group of 9 of us, thinking it's not often that this happens, and so we just decided to go chasing.
They persevered. They wrote up a constitution, and I talked to risk management in the meantime just to see what they thought, and they said, let's see what they have to say. And they were smart. They stressed safety and established the club.
And when the first chase came around, both Bill and Ben knew how high the stakes were.
Once it became clear that a big group chase out to the Midwest was something that we wanted to work toward, obviously our particular group, first off, none of us were very familiar with the Midwest. So our main concern at first off was that, here we are, we just founded a new club. We're not all that experienced, A, with the geography of where we wanted to go, and B, still overall with all of the science.
Basic worries I had were the same anybody else would have. If you're chasing storms, there is inherent risk, and the people at risk management, as we're okay as long as students, stress that they would be as safe as possible. And it's an educational mission. It's not this, gee, let's go chase a storm and see how close we can get kind of thing.
Once we then tweaked and edited and actually formed the formal constitution for the club itself, then for the years going forward, we were able to set this standard for, how students should, the puzzle pieces that students needed to be able to go on a trip, be responsible more for themselves, and to really help to really put the club into sort of an autopilot sense.
Once the proper officials were convinced that they could do a good job and not put themselves at undue risk, it was cleared.
And to their pleasure, the first chase was successful. Though the first group didn't catch any tornadoes on their go-round, they set the groundwork for the next 4 chases soon after, each one with a different and unique story to tell.
For the future of the club, we're really looking to bring in more experience, and that's not bringing in new students with more experience. It's bringing in professors and professionals in the field and people who've been out there and have done the job.
Which brings us to today. Current club president Tucker Antica hopes to not only build off the success of the previous chases, but perhaps take the club to newer heights.
Our department here is actually possibly the most qualified in the world to speak on these topics. People here are brilliant. And once we get to chase time, looking for a successful chase, looking to see a lot of good stuff and get our name out there more, just in the field.
And Tucker's already gotten the ball rolling on the year ahead. He's already secured a special guest speaker who will stop by and talk to members of the club later this fall. But who they are in their relation to storm chasing, well, let's just say it's being kept under wraps for now. For whether or not, I'm Jake Langedyk.
A swift changeover from summer to fall is in store for the next week. I'm back here to give you your extended forecast for the area. But looking at first at the weekend recap, we can see a summer-like weekend with a high of 82 on Friday and highs in the mid-80s on Saturday and Sunday with plenty of sun. So enjoy those days outside while you certainly can in those t-shirt and shorts. But looking at the extended forecast, Monday is a little bit much of the same as Saturday and Sunday with a high up to 15 degrees above average, but with some clouds moving in. And Tuesday and Wednesday, some rain moves in and temperatures begin to tumble as we approach the end of the week as temperatures dip to below what we'd expect during this time of the year.
All right, thank you so much for that forecast, Colby. Feeling more like California in the beginning of the week and then more like a state college fall later on.
That's certainly true, Robert. I know some people may be disappointed by the end of the summer-like weather, while others will certainly be enjoying the fall-like temperatures later on in the week. But we aren't expecting anything precipitation-wise like a thunderstorm that the Stormchase team might go after. And speaking of which, earlier on in the Weather Whiz Quiz, we asked you, what is typically the best month to go storm chasing? Is it A, March, B, May, C, July, or D, September? If you guessed B, you are correct. In the infamous Tornado Alley in the Midwestern United States, the best time to chase storms is in May because that's when the temperature differences are greatest over small distances.
That's right, Colby. That's the driving force of these convective storms.
And that's certainly true, but that's hopefully you won't have to deal anything with that anytime soon until maybe next spring.
That's right.
Well, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your co-host and forecaster, Colby McCabe.
And I'm Robert Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us.